Hi, I'm Michael Trigg, the Presentation Maestro. And if this is your first time here, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Now, I was asked this question on a recent webinar, and I'm afraid the recording is a little bit grainy. I look like the creature from the pit, but the answer's fairly sound, and I hope you enjoy it.
Robin, the question there, how important is humour in public speaking? Woo, golly. Well, let's, thank you for that question. You mentioned public speaking. The context of this is largely on video, but I'm going to answer both. It's an interesting one. I personally have a pretty broad sense of humour. I will laugh at nearly everything, no, not everything. Nish Kumar I don't find funny at all. But I laugh at most things, apart from what the Germans call Schadenfreude, which is somebody's tripping over and hurting themselves or something. A lot of people find that funny. I don't, but I laugh at most things. But more than ever now, there is, somebody's unmuted. If you'd like to mute yourself again, that'd be really kind.
Wendy.
We have to be careful today. And if I can put this in context by quoting a guy called Harold Evans, who was editor of the Sunday Times quite some time ago. Then he went away to work in America. But he was talking about, in this case, American universities. But actually, I think it can apply almost anywhere. But let me quote what he said. He said, American universities are a hotbed of unimaginable minorities just waiting to be offended. Mm. Now he's talking about you, but I think that goes for most audiences out there. You would be amazed how many hot buttons there are in people. Mm. Oh, I think that's most inappropriate. Oh, I think it's most offensive. So you've got to be careful. I personally would rather err on the risky side and say something humorous. I think if we strip all humor out of everything and everything that might conceivably offend anybody, there'll be no joy at all. Mm. And I don't know if ever some of the older ones amongst you might have watched or remembered a program called Rumpole of the Bailey, which was a series about an older barrister, written by a man called John Mortimer, who was a lawyer himself. And he was a real thorn in Maggie Thatcher's side because he was quite a socialist lawyer. But even he said, I don't agree with all this offense thing. He said, I think one should be offended 3 times a week and twice on Sundays. It is good for the soul. And I tend to go towards that side of things. But you just got to be careful, unfortunately, because there are a lot of people who get very upset and then either start a social media storm. You might have seen this happening. Somebody, well, let me put this in a serious context. This isn't about humor, but this is about the reaction they can get. Harvard Law School. It was in there, to go to Harvard, you've got to be damn wealthy, or your parents have, and pretty bright. And in this particular class, the lecturer was talking about, and she used the phrase, this isn't humor, this is just words. She said, XXX violates the law. She used the word violate, as in violates the law. And one of her students had a fit of the vapors. Said, oh, violate. Oh, it's a trigger word. I mean, God knows, this student was going to, hopefully, to become a lawyer and will have to deal with quite a lot of nasty things in the law. But she was triggered by the word violate and had to go lie down in a safe room somewhere with pictures of puppies playing on skateboards and a lot of Play-Doh. Even single words right now, let alone humorous or not humorous things, can create a reaction. So just need to be a bit careful. So thank you for that, Robin. A bit long telling you.
I hope you found that useful. Make sure you hit the subscription button and the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next one.